The video is intended for education and training of eye surgeon. Viewer discretion is advised, not recommended for children. Hello friends, this is Dr. Saurabh Patwardhan from Nandadeep Eye Hospital, Sangli, India. And recently I uploaded a video about a case of posterior capsule rupture, and there was a quiz. So the viewers would like to know what happened next, what happened after the posterior capsule rupture. So let's see what happened previously in this case. You can see the tilt even more evident now. You can see the pole again tries to do the division, but yeah, this is the point. Now the nucleus is being pushed over the anterior hyaloid here because that area of the posterior capsule is already ruptured, strong hyaloid, and now there is pupillary snap indicating further enlargement of the posterior capsule rupture and rupture of probably the anterior hyaloid as well. Thus the surgeon could remove rest of the pieces. So the surgeon was lucky here, and now he tries to go for this piece, but now he realizes that it's already into the anterior vitreous. That's why he held the PC, and now you could see the vitreous is getting aspirated. So surgeon has pulled up the vitreous now because it was the nucleus piece which was plugging or which was lying over the vitreous. Now it is taken out. Now let's see what happened next. So there was evident posterior capsule rupture now with the vitreous prolapse as it happened at the end of the previous clip which we saw. Now surgeon injected OVD. Surgeon didn't inject OVD while withdrawing the probe, so there was vitreous prolapse already. Depending on the stage at which posterior capsule rupture occurs, surgeon should have a plan how to handle the remaining pieces. So first thing is to make the patient comfortable. Patient was already given peripulpar anesthesia, but patient was uncomfortable. Just to emphasize on how I am injecting xylocaine very gradually. So first inject just 0.1 cc subconjunctival anesthesia xylocaine, and then wait for a minute, and then start injecting xylocaine very gradually subconjunctivally. This gradual injection makes it much comfortable and painless for the patient. That's why I have kept it real time, just to show how patiently I was injecting xylocaine very slowly, so not inflating the conjunctiva very quickly, because it is the inflation of the conjunctiva which gives patient pain, and we don't want the patient to be in pain after this moment, because we want patient to relax. So give us time to manage this case well, because we want a good end result. Just pushing this subconjunctival xylocaine all over and wait for a minute, and you will find that patient is extremely comfortable. If required, you can always give posterior subtenon anesthesia. Now what I am going to do here is this: I am extending this corneal incision on the scleral side. So one option is to make a entirely different scleral tunnel, which I will do if there is a big nucleus or big piece which is there. But here there are just small two pieces which are left. So I want to extend this incision around 6 mm. And what I am doing is I am just extending it on scleral side, just as we do the tunnel for the scleral incision. So it is longer incision which is self-sealing when I am going to do anterior vitrectomy, but still it is wide enough to place a 6 mm optic non-foldable IOL, which I have planned in this case. So this is the making of the corneal incision, and the basic tips are never to push these nuclear pieces down, avoid pushing OVD over these pieces, and then push the viscoelastic right from the deepest part as you see here. So keep pushing 2% HPMC till all the nuclear pieces are out. And now you have to do anterior vitrectomy. So use diluted triamcinolone, bottle height of 60-70, Ketrite highest, vacuum 150 to 200, and try to maintain the anterior chamber as far as possible. So here I am going to make a nasal incision for doing the vitrectomy, because preferably I don't want to use the larger incision. But as you can see, the corneal tunnel is maintaining well and anterior chamber is well maintained. First place to start anterior vitrectomy is the place where the rupture has occurred. Go through this posterior capsule rupture go near the anterior vitreous and start cutting. Make sure that it is cutting the vitreous well without creating any traction, and try to keep the infusion away from the area of rupture so it doesn't hydrate the vitreous unnecessarily. Change the hands and always sweep under the incision, because this is the commonest place where the vitreous stacks are. So you have to release all those strands so that you don't get any traction later on, and all the vitreous from the anterior chamber is cleared. Now this particular case, the patient has a broad nose and it's hampering my movement of the vitrectomy probe, particularly from the nasal incision. I am trying to use the IA cut mode here, but I am finding it's very difficult to maintain the chamber because of I am having difficulty maneuvering this nasal incision. So I tried to go through the main incision, but as you can see inferiorly there is some zonular weakness also in the same area of posterior capsular rupture. So I decided to leave this little bit of cortex behind. So leaving little bit of cortex is okay if it is causing more damage while removing it. So I am going to now put a 6 mm optic large PMMA IOL in the sulcus. I have calculated the IOL power accordingly and dialed this IOL in the sulcus, making sure it is stable. And then washing off the viscoelastic, putting in pilocarpine and making sure there are no vitreous strands in the anterior chamber or going into the incision, which is very important. And then suture this incision, which is very important. Because the video recording stopped in between, there is no video available in ahead of this, but that's what I did. Sutured the incision, made the pupil small, made sure that there is no vitreous strand. For more such videos, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and also visit our website phacotraining.org.in. Thank you so much.